and welcome to That Squirrel Speaks. Today is Thursday, October 11th. This is episode 33. Sorry, I couldn't remember what happened next in the sequence that I've done 32 other times. Anyway, this is totally be a short episode because as you all know, I'm totally late. I'm off skiltler and squeal and keel and fleal and... So hi! If this is your first time watching, sorry, just stop. Go watch another one and then come back. Because this one's going to be wonky. But if you're a returning viewer, welcome back. You're used to it. Yay! So basically, yeah. Usually I record on Mondays and upload on Tuesdays. And last weekend-ish time, when I was normally recording, I was not home. I was all planning to record on Sunday night before we left, but then on Saturday, it was determined that instead of leaving on Monday evening or Monday afternoon when I anticipated leaving, that I would in fact leave on Sunday morning, which is more than 24 hours before I'd intended to leave. And so on Saturday, I was frantically laundering, washing a child who gets dirty every 3 seconds. And the clothes in which she gets dirty. Hi. So I was like frantically laundering and finishing those Tinder sweaters. If you were new, you won't know this. I told you to stop watching. If you were new, don't watch this. Listen. Anyway, so I've been working on those 2 Tinder sweaters. One was a size for a 40-inch finished bust, and one was a size for like a 56-inch finished chest circumference. And one was for a very petite woman. That one, I mean, in terms of like, she's like 5 foot nothing, maybe. That one surprisingly was super fast. The other one is like my size, only 2 inches taller. Did not go fast. But I will say this. The first one I knitted one piece. The second one I seamed. The pattern is written for seamed. I was totally impressed with my seaming. I was very intimidated. I knew I could seam some stuff, but you know, you just get nervous and you're afraid it's going to look bad. Oh my gosh, it looked tight. It was awesome. I really kept being like, honey, look at the seams. But they looked so good. I was so impressed with myself. I won't even pretend that I'm not bragging, because I am. Seaming is like one of those things when you're brand new. What is going on with my hair? I'm sorry. I'm so distracted by the hot. What is happening? My part is. I did not brush my hair for you people. I'm sorry. I do really genuinely love you, but evidently. It's like 8:30. My husband's gonna walk in any moment and mess this whole thing up. So I don't even know why I'm pretending to record, but whatever. I just wanted to go for it. Whatever. I'm very tired. So oh, seaming is like one of those things. When you're first knitter, you only have to cast on once. You only have to cast off once. So those are the things you always mess up when you're a new knitter. Seaming is like that for when you're an experienced knitter who just gets out of seaming whenever possible. So like it's not even a big deal, really. I mean, really, it's not a big deal. It's slightly time consuming, but not crazily so. But it's one of those things that you don't do that often, and man, if you don't do it right, it does really mess some stuff up. But part of that is often because the pattern is really not written with that in mind. I have made seamed patterns that really... Were they written by non-knitters? Like, who were they written by? I'm not saying who, because this is a while ago and I couldn't even tell you if I had to. But that was one nice thing about the Tinder. It was written with in mind that you were going to eventually seam the thing. It has 1 stitch of stockinette border on every piece. Now, I personally made it 2 stitches of stockinette border because my edge is always weird. They're always terrible. So, and this I know about myself. Self-actualize, okay? So I made mine a 2-stitch border, but man, that made it easy to mattress seam that baby up. It was so fun, everything. And because the Tinder is written, I can tell you this much. It is a pay for pattern, but I mean, it's written in a 4-row repeat. The pattern texture is a 4-row repeat, so it makes it so much easier. you can very easily see, like, oh, this piece does definitely match this piece. Da-da! Instead of being like, oh, this piece has 127 rows, and now I have to count this piece, make sure it has 127 rows. That makes me want to cry. You can just be like, oh my gosh, this piece totally has 26 4-row repeats, and I can make this one 26 stitch too. Okay, so much easier. It makes me do chessy. So one of the reasons I wanted to record originally, back to the beginning, remember 5 minutes ago? Okay, I'm back there now. So one of the reasons I originally wanted to record on Sundays is because I totally wanted to show off my sweaters before I gave them away. But I couldn't, because quite frankly, Saturday I spent all day, again I said laundering, but also finishing those beautiful sweaters. No, really. I had them completely done by Saturday in terms of I had all of the buttons on, I had all of the buttonhole bands done, the collar was done, the seaming was all done. And for some reason in my mind, well, again, I was a day shorter than I thought I was going to be. Actually, like 36 hours shorter than I was going to be. But also, like, I just thought they wanted pockets on theirs. The Tinder does not come, it does not have pockets in the pattern. But these folks that I'm making them for did request pockets. So in my mind, diluted as it often is, I was like, oh, boom, 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 rectangle, smack it on there. Like, it was just going to Velcro on there magically, and it was going to look good. So that was a laborious process in which I freaked out at some point because I thought, oh my god, it's going terrible, it's going to mess it all up. What I'm going to indeed have to do is take these to these people and then make sure that they fit them and then cut out the pockets to do an afterthought pocket, which scares the bejesus out of me. I mean, not really. I was all like, okay, that's fine, I can totally do that. But, you know, when you cut into the knitting, you better make sure it fits the person first. You know what I mean? And also, I just was like, at that point, like, I really need to get rid of these sweaters. If I don't get rid of them, I'm totally going to get stabby. So, I had to get rid of them. So, I totally had a nervous breakdown in which I was like, I was trying to sew on pockets. And then my kid was all like, let's play Settlers of Catan Jr. And I was all like, oh no, Mommy is sewing pockets. Then I think she cried. She really didn't, because sadly, that's not that uncharacteristic for me. Leave me alone, I'm knitting! Usually I don't do that. But it was a deadline. Just go outside! Mommy's finishing pockets. So let me say that while I kind of enjoyed the seaming in a dorky way, I did not enjoy sewing those pockets on. It took a while to figure out how to make the pockets so that they would not look. So finally I figured that out, and let me just discuss. Again, tooting my own horn, I'm such a terrible human, but they look sweet when I was done. I ended up doing them in the pattern stitch, but then just binding off with an I-cord bind off to give them a little bit more firmness. Now I say this like I'm like, this was not the original plan. I did something entirely different, which looked horrific. And again, as I said, maybe I almost have a nervous breakdown. Like I don't think you can see it. I hope you can't, because quite frankly, you don't need to. But I totally am getting a fever blister from stressing out about these sweaters. Kid you not. Anyway, it's over, body. Stop being stressed out. Ew, ew. But anyway. Oh, so I was all super proud of how they turned out, but let me just discuss. It was not easy breezy, beautiful cover girl style. It was all like clunkety, flunkety, flunkety, fat girl style. But anyway, it finally did get done, and I was very pleased. But the hard thing about them was, well, the hard thing about them was them. But the hard thing about them was is mattress seaming. I was all like, oh, this is so fun. I'm telling you, it looks tight. It looks good. Ooh, it looks so nice on the inside, on the outside. Everything is beautiful. Because you're, so this, say this is the front and this is the back. You're bringing them together. See, my face is the negative space. That's some sort of analogy. Don't go there. Anyway, so my face is negative space. So even though you're you have the two pieces that are the same color and you're stitching them with the same color, there's negative space in between them, which helps, it makes it much easier to see what you're doing. Does that make sense? However, when you're sewing the pocket onto, like, so now instead of my beautiful face being negative space, you have the pocket that's this color and the background that's this color and the yarn that's this color, and your eyes bleed. But I did, and I mattress seamed them on there. Believe it or not, it looked totally good. And I felt like it was sturdy, which was another fear. Oh, I'm so afraid. But anyway, they are done and in the world. I don't have them to show you. I tried to figure out how to insert the picture into the video. I hate to admit that I am this incompetent that I cannot figure that out. I'm pretending that it's in fact my software is just out to get me. Because really, I'm not that unclever a person, but I cannot figure out how to put a picture here. I can't do it. So I'll put them on the blog, and you can find those at www.thefatsquirrel.com. Thefatsquirrel.com. So if you want to see what those pictures, they're not the greatest pictures. I mean, I couldn't take them on the humans that they belong to, but my mother was very gracious and allowed me to photograph one of them on her person. And this tiny one, I don't know anybody that small. The tiny one is photographed over a chair. I know no humans that small, except for the human that this went to, and then I didn't have time to take pictures. But you know what I mean. Okay. Okay. So there's a picture there, and I did use the beautiful buttons from the, oh, and the people who I did the zombie, the weeb, that did the eyes, the the beautiful lady who does the wood buttons, I used her buttons on there, and they look gorgeous. And somebody had said, I think it was Megan from Studying Zombies, when she got hers, was like, I wonder if these are washable. I did not machine wash them, but before I actually sewed those buttons onto the sweaters that I had worked over 102 hours to create, 102 hours for those two sweaters. Actually, way more than that by the time I did finishing, but I didn't even count the finishing. It would have made me cry. Oh, but so before I sewed those buttons on there, I was going to make sure that they weren't going to like totally be something crazy if we put them in water. I did soak one of her buttons. This one was the Abora Vitae. It sounds like I'm saying Aqua Vitae, but that's what it spelled like, so I'm just going with it. Anyway, I did soak that button in a cup of water that had wool wash in it. I soaked it for 24 hours, which of course I meant to soak it for 15 minutes. The next day. So I soaked it for 24 hours, and it appeared to have no damaging effects. So, I mean, I can't guarantee. Don't call me and be angry at me if your sweater gets jacked up. But I'm pretty confident that they're going to be fine. I mean, don't put them, maybe not on a white sweater. That would scare me. But why would you make a white sweater? Don't be ridiculous. But I felt very confident on the darker colors that they were on that they would be fine. Okay. Okay. So that's all about the tenders. I should have at the beginning of this episode did in fact tell you that I was only going to talk about finished objects during this episode. But as I discussed, I'm crazy sauce. But then I'll talk about all the projects next Tuesday. Or I mean, you know, next Monday when I record, and you'll see it on Tuesday. But I just didn't want to show them to you today on Thursday night because, hi, you're going to be like, that's no difference. And I'll be like, yeah, I know. And why did I waste your time? Gotcha. Gotcha. So the first two finished objects you don't get to see. Pretend. Tenders. The second finished object you saw me working on, the third finished object I mean, is by the lovely Susan B. Anderson. It is her Quaker Ridge shawlette, and I made mine in the County Effect Garn in the AFA colorway, and I'm super pleased with how it turned out. Now, I was a little worried because mine had some wonky like boobleage here at the top, like it was like conical. But I think that was because it's fine now, blocked out perfectly well. But I don't think that was Susan B. Anderson's fault. I think that was my fault because I'm super uptight about my edge being too tight, because I know you're supposed to carry the yarn loosely on the edge. I can't be bothered, evidently. I'm a very loose knitter, but for some reason, I just can't remember to not snug that yarn at the end. So instead of doing the, let's see, what did I do different? She uses, I think, make one increases. I used the yarn over increase, not the like wholly yarn over, but the backwards loop. So it's almost like a cast on. I used those increases, and I did do a yarn over between the first and second stitch of this the salvage, which I just dropped every time. Just drop the yarn over every time. And so it made the edge very, very loose. So I think that's why I had some like weird conicaliness happening here, but it blocked out just fine. So again, that was not her fault, but it didn't matter anyway. I could have just not told you. You would never know. But true confessions, okay? It's hard not to tell the truth when your camera's looking right at you. Tell the truth, compel. But anyway, so I'm very pleased with it. I did one less repeat than the pattern was written for, but I had less yarn than the pattern is written for. I only had 650 yards. Is that a hole? No, just something crazy. I only had 650 yards. So, you know how that goes in life. What the heck is this? Is this a hole? What is this? No. Okay, no. It's just weird. Oh, okay. It's just where there was a join and I wove it in. Well, there's a little problem right there. It's not really a problem, but I just noticed it. You see? It looks kind of like a tiny hole, but it's really not. It's just, again, where I wove in the ends. I must have forgotten and knitted instead of, or purled instead of knitted or something weird. I don't know what's going on. Why am I stalling? Shush, go on. This was supposed to be a short episode. I was like, this is going to be like 15 minutes long. Anyway, so I'm very pleased with it again. I just did a garter stitch salvage or garter stitch edge because I did not feel the need to do that many beads. And I didn't want to. That's all. And she has it written so you can do it with different borders. So you can just suit your fancy, okay? So if you wanted to wear it as a shawl, and again, I'm a big gal. Big gal. And it would still wear as a shawl on me. It comes about down to my bra line. And again, this is considered a sport weight. So if I do it that way, yeah, it comes down to my bra line. My shirt's kind of tacky. It's just not flowing well. But, you know, of course, I will just wear it like this because I'm fancy. That's right. I'm so fancy. So anyway, I'm totally pleased with it. I totally love it. Thank you, Susan B. Anderson. For so many reasons, but also for the Quaker Ridge Shawlette. Ooh, look, I looked so fancy there for a second. Where's my small yippy dog? Anyway, so that's faux number 3. Then faux number 4, you've never even seen before. This is my Hans. Oh, my hair is going to be like by the end of the show. This is some Hanspun. This is the French macaroon colorway from the Be Myself, which I spun into worsted weight 2-ply. I'm sorry, people who, I'm not mocking your accent. I just love your faces. And sometimes I get confused. I just start talking in random voices. Oh, tell the voices to be quiet. So this is the pattern. I don't have it prepared. It's the Tamarind Cowl by Kristen Hanley Cardozo. And it is written for merino. She used one skein of Malik Brigo merino worsted, and it was 210 yards. But she gives you, it's a free pattern, and she gives you lots of information about how to modify if you have a different yarn. So hers is 3 repeats. I did 4 because I had enough yarn and it was so pretty. So pretty. This is superwash merino. I love it. I want to hide in it and watch lots of television and knit. Okay. 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 So anyway, I totally dig it. I dig it. I'm sorry, I'm just going to keep playing with it until you're like, shh. You're like, I know, right? Anywho, I'm a hot mess, but whatever. So yeah, that's all the finished objects. I will totally record again on Monday, and that will be October 14th, which is only 3 days from now. And at that time, the threads for the little cowl will be closed, so get your products in. We have lots of prizes. Okay. I've enjoyed reading all about them. What else am I trying to say? Okay, the rest of the show will be shenanigans. Whatever. Okay, so we totally went and visited. My daughter is on fall break. We have a year-round schedule, which means they get 2 weeks for fall break. So we went to visit my family, just in Cincinnati. So they live on the far east side. So it ends up being like 3 hours away. I can get to Cincinnati proper an hour 45 minutes. But anyway, it's totally fine. Because they live out in the country. Which I love. But anyway, so we went to visit them and it was super fabulous. I got to visit my mama and my papa, whom I love. My mama recently broke her hip. Not full on broke, but pretty much broke her hip. So she's out of the rehab unit and she was home. So she's got her little walker and little pajama pants. She's so cute. She's just cruising on that walker, by the way. They had to put pins in her flipping, I think in her femur. She's just going on that walker. I'm like, are you on morphine? I didn't ask that because I'm sure she would have been embarrassed. Because my family is unnaturally modest about certain things. Whatever. So anyway, she was just cruising on her walker. My grandpa was out mowing their yard. They have like a 4-acre yard. It's ridiculous. So he was out mowing the back 40. And so my daughter and I were just playing Frisbee and talking to Mama. And then I spun. I did a little spinning while I was there, and they were fascinated by that. Well, I don't say fascinated. That was a strong word. But they thought it was interesting, which was fun. What else? Oh my gosh, the best part is... Okay, there's 2 best parts. One best part is we got to go to Jungle Jim's, which is the best grocery store on earth, because there's a new one really close to where my family lives. I think Joanna Springs was talking about it on Knit Spin Farm. It's like an amusement park of food, people. It's very exciting. They had actual real sugar cane. Like it was 8 foot tall. Well, maybe 7 feet tall. 7 feet tall. Pieces of sugar cane. How awesome is that? I totally should. Oh! They had even the little bit, they call them batons, like a little piece that's like this big that you can buy. It was like $1. How's that possible? Whatever, I guess sugar is kind of cheap. But I was going to buy it for my kid just as like a, but I thought it'd be fun for her to take to school, even though they probably would have been like, it's illegal to bring produce to school because you can bring in bugs, which is crazy. I don't know. But I thought it'd be interesting for her, but then I just was like that for myself. But I should have bought it for you. Oh, that would have been a good excuse to buy it because I really wanted to buy it. But anyways, they have crazy produce. It was so fun. But then the real bestest part. Well, the real bestest part was visiting family. You know that. That's inherent or whatever. But anyway, so now we're on the 3rd bestest part. I don't know, whatever. We totally went to Cincinnati Nature Center, which has been around forever. It's a nature preserve in Cincinnati. And they have like I don't know, a bajillion miles of hiking trails. Not a bajillion. But I don't know, like 15 or 20. They have a lot. Maybe even more than that. Maybe I'm underestimating. But they have... I just want to hide. Can I just tell the rest of my story like this? Would that be offensive? I guess it probably would be a little bit. Anyway, so it's the Cincinnati Nature Center. And I always loved to go there when I was a kid. It was like a super big treat. It's awesome. It's on the east side of town. It's between Milford and Eastgate. Sorry, everybody who does not know where that is. But, you know, whatever. I gotta share for my people who know what it is. But anyway, okay, so it's always been super duper cool, and I've always loved it there. In a magical, supernatural, hippies dancing in the water kind of way. But now they have this thing called Playscape, which must be like the cutting edge of playeries. Basically what they've done is they've taken a portion of the nature preserve, and it's a big portion too. Let me just discuss. It's a very big area, but they have fenced it off. Now when I say fenced it off, I don't mean like privacy fenced it off. It's natural looking. It is wire, but it's the big open wire, and it's in the tree line, so it's not like it's fence. It's like fence. And at first when we went in, I was like, why did they do that? So the kids don't just wander off onto the trails while their mother is like, Jimmy, where are you, Jimmy? You know, that whole thing. So, okay, so this whole area of the nature preserve that is kind of like, again, cordoned off. And they have constructed some like water elements, some water features. There's like a waterfall with like, again, there's like logs across it for the kids to scramble across. There's like all those rocks to climb in the waterfall. It's so dangerous. I love it. There's a bridge that goes across that they can crawl under and climb on. There's all these like fun, just like natural, like bunches of like fallen timber that they have just like made into like a conical shape so the kids can go in and out of. And then the really cool part, well, that's really cool, but then another really cool part is they have this other section where you can kind of go in and there's like a big gravel, well, there's a big gravel pit for them to play, and it's like pea gravel. But then there's another area that's like a sand pit, but it's very natural looking because it's got like all the pine needles in it and stuff. It's not like combed out like Zen style or anything. It's very natural. But then they have like a big natural tree stump that's it's pretty big that has been obviously the tree died or something. I think it's probably dead because it's like naturally rotted out. But they have all of these like random fallen tree branches and stuff that the kids can like do whatever with. Like some of them when we got there had piled them up around the tree stump, so they'd made like a little place where they could go in and hide. My daughter thought the best thing in the world was to make the tree stump into a drum and just bang on it in different places with the fallen trees. Then they had another section for even, my kid was like on the, she's almost 6. She was on the borderline of almost too small to do the other thing. But then they had this other section with like all of these big, like fallen trees. I mean, not big like as in a tree, but they're like, you know, this big around, and they're probably 6 to 8 feet tall, all of them. Okay, 5 to 8 feet tall. And the kids can drag them around like when we got there. Some of them had tried to make them into like a little log cabin configuration, like alternating. And then there's like a metal bar where you could like pull them and like lean them up and make a lean-to. Awesome! So stinking awesome! I loved it. So it's like all, again, it's all about like unstructured play for children, which they don't get enough of, and unstructured play in nature. Awesome songs. So this was way longer than I anticipated. I thought it was going to be 15 minutes long. But I'll totally see you again on Tuesday for prizes for the locale and maybe some information about another cow that might be going on. Stuck in zombies. That's all I'm saying for now. It's in the works. Okay? Okay. So I'll totally see you next week. Have a lovely week. I miss y'all. Okay? Bye. Not bye. My mouse wasn't in the right place. What am I doing?